This all went down when I was in the last year of middle school, maybe the first year of high school. I lived in a regular neighborhood with houses and trees, just like you'd expect. My buddies and I, well, we usually just hung out. Sometimes we'd be at my house, sometimes at theirs. We'd sit around, watch some TV or a movie, but as we got older, we started getting bored of that. We wanted something a bit more exciting. There was this old, falling-apart house close to the only busy street in our town. That street had a few shops, and it was the closest thing we had to a downtown. This old house, it looked really bad. Like windows were covered up with wooden boards, and the roof seemed like it could fall in any moment. I knew the place. I saw it every day because I used to walk past it on my way back home from my old school. So, on one Friday night, my pals and I were wandering around talking about what we could do for fun. We were a group of 4. Me, Jake, Mike, and Danny. Jake, being the adventurous one, was like, "Hey, why don't we go inside that creepy old house?" We all thought about it and said, "Why not?" It was close by, like a short walk from where we were. By the time we reached the house, it was already dark. But there were street lights around. Those lights made the house look super spooky. We all knew this place, and we all joked that it was haunted. I mean, it wasn't really haunted, no ghost stories or anything, but it sure looked like it was. The front door had a big sign. It said, "Keep out," and there were some other warnings, probably from the town saying it wasn't safe. But we didn't pay any attention to that. We went to the back of the house. And then, we noticed something. One of the windows at the back didn't have those wooden boards. It looked like someone had taken them off. Probably other kids who wanted to see inside too. Jake went in first. He's always the brave one, and one by one we all went in. Once we were inside, I quickly took out my phone to use its light. Another friend did the same, but I can't remember if it was Mike or Danny. It took a second, but then we figured out we were in what used to be a kitchen. It was a big mess. There wasn't much left in it. Just an old broken refrigerator sitting in one corner. Everything else, like the stove and the sink, they were all gone. It seemed like they took away everything valuable from the house, leaving just the shell. After a quick glance around the old kitchen, we decided to see more of the house. We walked out and into what looked like the main sitting area or the living room. The room was empty of furniture, but there was junk everywhere. Tons of empty soda cans and bottles. I guess other kids had been using the place as a secret hangout spot. Suddenly, we realized we couldn't see Jake. "Guys, where's Jake?" Danny asked, looking around. Mike shrugged. He probably just wandered off to another room. But just as Mike said that, we heard a really loud scream. It was coming from above us. It had to be Jake. We didn't waste any time. We ran towards the old stairs and climbed up as fast as we could. The stairs creaked under our weight, but we didn't care. We needed to find Jake. We pushed open the first door we saw, and inside a really scary sight met us. Jake was in the corner, and there was a tall, skinny man holding a shiny knife close to him. The man looked really, really old. His skin was rough, like he'd been in the sun for too long, and his black hair was all messy. He looked like he hadn't had a good night's sleep in years. He was saying stuff, but his words didn't make sense. They were all jumbled up. I tried to speak in a calm voice. "Hey, it's okay. We didn't mean to disturb you. We'll go now." Jake was so scared. I could see him crying, and he was trying hard not to move. Then, out of nowhere, the man let go of Jake. We didn't think twice. We all turned around and ran. We went down the stairs super fast and got out through that window we had climbed in from. Back on the street, we were all breathing heavily. We thought about telling someone, but then we got worried. What if we got in trouble for going inside the house? Later on, someone decided to tear down that spooky house. In its place, they built a fast food joint, a burger place. But every time I walk by that spot, I can't help but think about that scary night. I'm a 16-year-old guy. This story is about a time when something creepy happened to me and my friends over a weekend at an old empty house. My friends, Tom and Lisa, and I were at Tom's place one day. Nobody was at home except us, and we were feeling pretty bored. I can't really remember who said it first, but someone thought it would be fun to drive around and look at some old empty buildings near where we lived. The place we lived had lots of old buildings. Most of the land around us had farms or just lots of trees. So we thought, why not? We went to 2 old barns, took some fun photos, and just had a good time. After that, we saw a pathway that looked like no one had used it in a while. Now, not many people lived near this path. Even though Lisa had a bad feeling and told us we shouldn't go there, Tom and I thought it would be cool to see where it led. So we drove down the pathway. It was surrounded by trees and went deep into the forest. After driving for a bit, things started to feel strange. We found a place to park our car in an open space and saw an old house not too far away. But right after we parked, the car's front beeping sound started. Then the back one did too. It felt like someone was walking around our car. The odd part was that there was nothing around that could make the car beep like that. Normally, if something was near the car, it would have beeped when we were parking, not after. Both Tom and Lisa looked worried, but I acted like it wasn't a big deal. But deep down, I was getting a bit scared, too. We left the car and started to walk towards the old house. I walked ahead of Tom and Lisa, trying to act brave. Honestly, I just wanted them to see that I wasn't scared. But then I saw something that changed everything. There was a lady. Her hair was messy, and she wore an old-fashioned dress like from a history book. She peeked from the side of the house. She looked straight at me and made a shush sign with her finger, telling me to be quiet. The way she did it was so loud, it sent chills down my spine. Suddenly, I felt very afraid. Like the kind of afraid where you can't even move for a second. My heart was beating so fast and tears started to form in my eyes. I yelled at Tom and Lisa, "Run!" And we all began running back to the car as fast as we could. While we were running, my phone slipped out of my pocket. Lisa saw it happen and shouted to let me know. But I told her, forget it. People who know me know that I'm always on my phone. So for me to leave it behind meant things were really bad. When we finally reached the car, Tom and Lisa were fumbling with the doors. They were locked. Tom searched for his keys but couldn't find them. Lisa's phone was gone too. It felt like the lady was trying to trap us there. Suddenly, Tom spotted both our phones and his keys on the ground a bit away. He quickly grabbed everything, and we jumped into the car, driving as fast as we could back to his house. Once we were safe at Tom's house, I told them about the lady I saw. They hadn't heard her shush or even seen her at all. At first, I was scared they might not believe me. But Lisa said my scared face and the tears were enough for her to know something was very wrong. Later, we found out that workers from a nearby army base, Fort Hill, had seen strange things on that same road. We dashed super fast, trying to put as much distance between that place and us. A whole 7 years went by, but even now, I can't shake off the memories. Sometimes when I close my eyes, the events of that day come rushing back. Once, me, my 2 cousins, Jack and Lucy, and another pal of mine, Mike, decided to go to a huge open land. This land was covered in green plants and trees everywhere. In the middle of it all was a hill which the people living nearby called the Big Hill. Now, we knew it was someone's land and we probably shouldn't be there. But, well, we were young and adventurous. By the time we reached there, the sun was setting and shadows were getting longer. After wandering around a bit, we found this old, forgotten house. There were a couple of small storage buildings next to it. My cousin Lucy got a bit scared. She decided she wanted to head back home. She didn't want to explore the mysterious buildings with us. I promised Lucy that I'd keep texting her photos and messages every few minutes, just so she'd know we were all right. Night had settled in when we went closer to the house. Mike and Jack had brought torches, and I had my mobile's flashlight. I kept sending Lucy pictures and messages like I promised. At first, everything seemed normal. We were just having fun trying to spook each other out, but things took a turn when we found a garage next to the house. Inside the garage, there was this opening that led to the attic above. After leaving the garage, we debated if we should climb up and see what was inside the attic. I was ready to climb up, but I'd need Jack's help since he was the tallest. I thought it'd be a cool adventure, but Mike thought I was crazy and that we should just leave. We were in the middle of this argument when suddenly we heard a loud noise from the garage. It wasn't just any noise. It was like someone had slammed something really hard. Fear gripped us, and without a second thought, we started to run. As we were sprinting away, Mike accidentally tripped me over. While getting up, I glanced back, and for a brief moment, I thought I saw a man's face peeking out from the garage's entrance. That sight gave me a jolt of adrenaline, and I quickly got up and ran, catching up with Mike and Jack. To leave the place, we had to go down the hill and then climb over a fence. I was the last to reach the fence, and as soon as we were safely on the other side, I quickly texted Lucy. My messages were all over the place because my hands were shaking so much. Lucy texted back, telling me to rush home. We made it back home safe. But the memories of that night remained. Sometimes, late at night, I wonder, what if we hadn't left that garage so quickly? Maybe things would have turned out very differently. Maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't be here to tell the tale. In 2009, my closest buddies were Mike, Lisa, Bobby, and Emily. Emily had 2 brothers and sisters, Sarah and her younger brother, Jack. Every Wednesday, we'd meet up at this old, empty building just for fun. Before leaving, I always double-checked to ensure all the exits were shut tight. One evening, Lisa, Bobby, and I thought about visiting that building. Our other mates had plans, so it was just the 3 of us. Night visits weren't typical, but hey, we had nothing else to do. It was around 9 in the evening. Upstairs was our favorite spot. We'd sit, play some board games, and sometimes enjoy some soft drinks. Time flew by, and suddenly I heard a strange noise from the floor below. Both Lisa and Bobby were busy watching a show on Bobby's tablet, wearing earbuds. So, I got up to see what was happening, letting them know I'd be back soon. I felt a weird feeling as if someone was spying on me as I went towards the staircase. Walking towards the pantry, my heartbeat got faster. The door leading to the cellar was opened wide. I was sure none of us had opened it. My other pals, Emily, Sarah, and Jack, were away visiting relatives, and Mike was at a meeting in another city. Though scared, I couldn't resist calling out, "Hey, anyone down there?" When I got no reply, I slowly began descending the stairs. With each step, my anxiety grew. After what felt like ages, I reached the basement floor. I looked all around, but it was empty. As I was about to head back up, I paused for a moment, facing the stairs. Out of nowhere, I felt the sensation of someone's breath on my neck. In sheer panic, I turned to find a man with a super weird expression. His eyes seemed too big, and he had a strange, eerie smile plastered across his face. I yelled out in fear and started running towards the stairs. He began chasing me, and I could hear him getting closer. I shouted and ran faster. Thankfully, I reached the top before he did and managed to slam and lock the door. Lisa and Bobby hurried over, looking worried. But the moment they saw the door being hit from the other side, they realized the danger. Without wasting another second, all of us rushed out of the building.